tackling record creation and population, I made this its own section because it tends to be the biggest point of reservation that we see customers. It can be a really big deal, we'll get into some of the reasons why in a second, but this is just, I see a lot of people, confused about this. They don't fully understand what this is, the best practices for this, and it can be just daunting. So I wanted to kind of take it back and realize we do these all the time. I see this, any level of whether it's, okay, I only have 50 pressure transmitters that I'm going to be able to type in manually, or I'm migrating 30 years of history over from the decommissioned, no longer supported calibration management solution from back in the day. Regardless of that approach, there are going to be several avenues that you can take to really simplify this, make it just not take too much time for you and it just take a lot of that worry off of your back. So the first thing is you need to understand what needs to be managed within the system. And that's just ensuring, we have customers who will want to take everything, all the equipment records, all the decommissioned instruments, all that other stuff, and pull it into the system, which is really good, but they don't always need that. And so that's really just, this is about understanding what you want to manage within the system, what's going to need what you need in there, and only really focusing around that. So it's just, again, it helps you reduce bloat, and it kind of helps you, be much more efficient with the database population. Next, and this is probably one of the most important questions to ask, and not everybody knows it, surprisingly, but it's how does that data exist today? Is the data that you need to populate in your system, you don't even know what it happens, but you don't even know what instruments you have. You're out there and you calibrate things when they break, and you need to, figure that out. So that can be a situation where we may do manual walks or lines, and we'll handle it in a specific way versus you have the information on paper and we need to copy it in with a data entry specialist or some other manner. If you have it in Microsoft Excel, even greater, there's import tools for that. Or, it's in some sort of legacy, we call it like a soft format, some other database that'll be pulled in. But understanding how the data exists today is going to be important in figuring out, again, what the next steps are going to be. After that, it's really the manner or process of populating the database. Is it going to be manual entry where you create a few templates and copy those over? If you're using a Fluke 754, you're just going to populate your system by downloading completed ad hoc calibrations into the system to create those asset records with the results that way. Or if you have the information in Microsoft Excel, for example, we have here at Prime Technologies a data load utility where you can take all of your instruments, your cal specs, your equipment test instruments, and all of that, and populate it in our Excel spreadsheet template, and then mass import all those instruments and assets in at the same time. Or really at the other extreme end is a data migration. This is if you have the system in an old database and you're switching over to a newer calibration management solution. Are you going to want to just start over, or do you want to take all that information and all that historical data, all the the audit records and audit trail and everything from your previous system, and pull all of that in? The way this could really look is that you turn the one system off, you turn on ProCal, and then everything's immediately there. It's just like the interface changed, but the data is all the same. So those options are all available. It just really determines what makes the most sense based on what you need in there, how quickly you need it in there, and the current state of the existing data. Once the data is ready to go and set in there, again, you're probably going to want to verify or audit the data. This can be, if you're working in like an FDA or pharmaceutical world, you may need to do a very detailed, validation of that information where maybe you're taking a net sample and doing a direct comparison versus maybe, in a much another area, you could be doing a direct comparison, or you're just going through and making sure that your workflows are working and everything looks the same and it looks like it's there. This is going to be, again, up to the customer, your regulatory requirements and your specific needs and wants, but it's always good to plan on how you're going to verify that the data was pulled into the system correctly and everything's functioning the way you expect it to. Afterwards, I just tagged that, put this on to the end because I think it's important. It's something people don't always think about, but you want to be prepared as you're doing this. If you're going to be in a situation where you're going to need to add in a bunch of assets in the future, say you're a service company and you get a new customer and they have 300 pieces of equipment that they need you to start calibrating every year. You don't want to have to go and manually enter that data. Maybe they'll give you a spreadsheet and you can import it in. Or if you're picking up a new site or something like that and you're going to need to migrate that data in, it's just being prepared with a workflow or an idea of how you're going to be able to pull in mass amounts of instruments in the future, just in case that opportunity or that occasion ever comes around. There's a lot more that we can get into this. And I believe that our next webinar that we're going to be doing next year is going to be really tailored specifically around data migrations, database population, and all of that good stuff too. So if this is something that's of particular interest to you guys, please keep your eyes out for the an upcoming webinar invite sometime later in January. This is huge. This is one of the biggest questions we get, and we want to invest a full webinar into this specific topic for you guys.